when people talk about the open source nature of the Chinese version compared to the closed source nature of open AI, they almost use it as a moralistic argument, right? It's like, oh, China's open source, open AI is closed source. We gotta fix this. I think it's really funny because you're like the Chinese Communist Party is not one, it's not a party that is like is moralistic in any means, right? I ask myself how much money was used in corporate espionage to get the secrets to create the DeepSeek model in the first place, or to purchase the energy to run and train the model, right? It's not like they just came out. It's not like they were underneath a rock and then they woke up one day and they said, "Oh, we see OpenAI. We got to go figure out a way to make this. We're gonna use only We're gonna use $6 million, and we're gonna with that $6 million make our own version." No, it's not. One, they're standing on the shoulders of giants as far as the technology development is concerned, and two, they have a huge like government apparatus that is funneling information, money, power, connections, all those pieces, because they recognize that if you have godlike level technology that is just being propagated, you need to figure out a way to get your piece of the pie. And unfortunately, just in a global sense, we're in a situation where it's like a race, right? Like if you're walking in a forest and a bear pops up and it's you and your buddy, like, do you need to be faster than the bear or do you need to be faster than your buddy? And saying like, oh well, man, it's actually not really fair, man. Okay, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we'll say three, two, one, go, and I won't push you down, and you won't push me down, so we can be fair and we can really duke this out in a world that's really a realpolitik where there's no higher power to really come down and say you do this, you do that. No one's getting struck by lightning. Um, it's foolish. It's foolish and it's silly. It's absolutely silly. And so when speaking of, while it would be ideal, ideal state, right? There's some benevolent regulator out there that has only the U.S. population at heart, and they are able to make rules and that works. See whether or if they don't work, able to turn those rules back and make new rules and continue testing in that way. It just is too, the government moves too slowly for that to be a reality. So what's much more likely to happen is that the government will create rules. The rules will be crappy. It'll hamstring businesses in particular ways, advance others in different ways. And most likely those businesses or companies that are being advanced had some insight into creating the rules in the first place. And in the long run, the society does not actually make the leap that people thought it would make, because the free market ingenuity that was initially harnessed at the outset was asphyxiated by the power players that had their hands on the levers of power. And I think that's, you kind of have to pick your poison, right? In many ways. And for me, I don't trust the goodwill of those that are in positions of power to make laws and whatnot that are good for me. And the only way that I would trust them, is if they're a funny thought that just came to mind, if they just like live streamed all of it. They just live streamed every conversation, that as much information as they could, put it out into the ether and allowed people to go view it and make a decision for themselves whether or not the choices that are being made actually align with the public's best interest, and whether or not there's actually rigorous, well thought out discussion and argument to come to a consensus, versus just like behind closed door wheeling and dealings that only benefit a select few rather than the entirety of the population at large. And if they were to live stream that, I would watch that stream and I would pay attention to what's going on in those streams and see what happens.